The computation of time. As provided on the Article 13 of the Civil Code, when the law speaks of years, months, days, or nights, it shall be understood that the years are of 365 days each, months of 30 days of 24 hours, and nights from sunset to sunrise. If months are designated by their name, they shall be computed by the number of days which they respectively have. In computing a period, the first day shall be excluded and the last day included. It is noted that the Civil Code adopts the 365-day year, although this does not, however, apply in computing the age of a person, and the 30-day month and not the calendar year, not the solar month. For the purpose of determining whether or not a crime has prescribed pursuant to the provision of Article 90 of the Revised Penal Code, the term month shall be understood as a 30-day month and not a calendar month. Actually, there is no provision in the Revised Penal Code that defines the length of the month. It was, however, provided in the Article 7 of the Old Civil Code that a month shall be understood as containing 30 days. But this concept was modified by Section 13 of the Revised Administrative Code, which provides that month means the civil or calendar month and not the regular 30-day month. With the approval of the Civil Code of the Philippines, however, we have reverted to the provision of the Spanish Civil Code in accordance with which a month is to be considered as a regular 30-day month. Another, where a statute requires the doing of an act within a specified number of days, such as 10 days from the notice, it means 10 calendar days and not working days. Where the word week is used as measure of time and without reference to the calendar, it means a period of 7 consecutive days without regard to the day of the week from which it begins. In the case of Philippine National Bank versus the Court of Appeals, a private respondent mortgages 2 lots located at Bukawi, Bulacan to the petitioner bank to secure payment of his loan. For failure to pay the obligation, the petitioner bank extrajudicially foreclosed the mortgage property and won the highest bidder at this auction sale. Eventually, a final deed of sale was registered in the Bulacan Registry of Property on March 19, 1965 in favor of the petitioner bank and later sold the said lots to third person. It appears that the notice of sale of appellant's foreclosed property were published on March 28, April 11, and April 12, 1969 issues of the newspaper's Daily Record. The date March 28, 1969 falls on Friday, while the dates April 11 and 12 are on Friday and Saturday respectively. Now, Section 3 of Act Number 3135 or an act to regulate the sale of property under special powers inserted in or annexed to real estate mortgages requires that the notice of auction sale shall be published once a week for at least 3 consecutive weeks. Evidently, defendant appellee bank failed to comply with this legal requirement. The publication effected on April 11, 1969 cannot be construed as sufficient advertisement for the second week because the period for the first week should be reckoned from March 28, 1969 until April 3, 1969, while the second week should be counted from April 4, 1969 until April 10, 1969. It is clear that the announcement on April 11, 1969 was both theoretically and physically accomplished during the first day of the third week and cannot thus be equated with the compliance in law. Indeed, where the word is used simply as measure of duration and without reference to the calendar, it means a period of 7 consecutive days without regard to the day of the week on which it begins. Finally, the exclude the first and include the last day rule governs the computation of a period. If the last day falls on Saturday or legal holiday, the act can still be done the following day. The principle does not apply to the computation of the period of prescription of a crime, in which the rule is that if the last days in the period of prescription of a felony falls on a Sunday or legal holiday, the information concerning said felony cannot be filed on the next working day as the offense has been by then already prescribed. So to summarize my report, a year is equal to 365 days, a month 30 days, except if the months are designated by their names. A day is equal to 24 hours. A night from sunset to sunrise. And a week is equal to 7 consecutive days without regard to the day of the week from which it begins.